Like, wow, man.
Hello. Hello there, lamppost. What you knowin'? Come to watch my flowers grow. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Yes, I do. Look at the fun and feelin'. Groovy, baby. Today's talk is called Only One Thing. It starts off from a wonderful man named Leonard Cohen. You all know Leonard Cohen, don't you? He has these incredibly great poetic moments. Leonard Cohen actually went to Oneness University for a while. He hung out there. He's a Oneness lesson giver, and he's an amazing man. In his piece of poetry, he says this, and when I got this from Maureen, I went, this is a talk. Only one thing made him happy. And now that it was gone, everything makes him happy. Let's take an offering for unity. Only one thing made him happy. Only one thing. What's that one thing that makes you happy? Well, we all have something, right? Whether it's our good looks, our great health, our clear mind, whatever it is we got, there's always that one thing that we attach to that makes us happy. But then sometimes in life, as life will have it, it gets taken away, and then we don't seem to have that one thing anymore that makes us happy. Can we still be happy? Yes. Because the light came with you from your native home, because it is your own, and it lights your way, brings you back to where you came from, so you can be at home. You bring that with you. That comes with you. The only one thing makes you happy. Okay, well, you better get over it, because that one thing may not be the source of your consistent happiness. Because everything on this planet is just impermanent. It just doesn't stay the same way. I've really got to take a real look at that thing that I thought made me happy, because I put my life towards it. But cancer, and by the way, I have no problem saying that word anymore. It used to be like, cancer, oh, bad word, bad. It's just a word, good God. One of the many words we speak while we're here. We have to demystify that word, cancer. So I got cancer, and it came up, and a lot of the things that I used to be able to do, I cannot do anymore the way I used to. In fact, I feel like I've gone back to being the monk I knew I always was at one particular point. My mother told me, Rhoda, when I was sitting with her about 3 weeks ago at my house, she goes, there's 3 different kinds of kids, and you were the kind of kid that you would go sit in a rocker, and I could put you in some sort of bouncy chair, and you would stay there for hours at a time and not move. Now they would actually call that abuse, but my mother left me in that rocker for hours because I didn't seem to mind just being by myself. I feel like my last lifetime was my monk lifetime, and then I came back to have this busy lifetime. But many things cancer can take away from you, but it cannot take away the only thing that can bring you happiness. That it does not have the power to do. Only you can assign that particular role to it. So I've been really looking at that. And I've been looking at just being very conscious of each moment as it passes by. Because I'm responsible now for other people to get me around and do a lot of stuff for me. It's tough being someone who's in care of someone who needs care all the time. I'm one of those people who do need care all the time. And so when you're in that role, you have to learn how to be patient. You have to learn how to wait, whether you like it or not. You're not going to be able to get up and go and jump and run and do whatever you want. You have to just be patient. And I noticed that when I'm okay with that, it's cool. I can wait all day if I have to. But when I'm not, I don't feel so good about it. I don't practice this well at all. A Course in Miracles says there's no difference between slight irritation and intense rage. I hate that line. Because if I catch something that I'm being irritated about early, it's less likely to go to the intense rage part. So if I catch it early and just see it quickly before it becomes that, well then I can diffuse it. But if I don't, well then I'm stuck with it. Then it becomes something that's just another one of the many annoyances that sort of go out and on throughout the day. Anybody relate to those? We all have them. So you look at them early, you catch them early, and you realize that the only thing you bring with you from your native home is a constant sense of presence and existence and happiness that comes with you, regardless of whether you're getting what you want or you're not. I wish that were easier to say, and I wish it were easier to practice, but it's not always. So we all get this opportunity to constantly practice, 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 to keep coming back to it again and again and again, the things that matter most in our life. And anything in life can be a great gift for that, can it? Yeah. Whatever you're going through, however annoyed you might be about him, her, they, or them, or however annoyed they may be about you. Because believe me, somebody is right now, annoyed with you. That's always true. So we have these different things that pop up on the screen and give us examples of moments when our game plan, what we thought it was supposed to be, doesn't turn out the way we want it to be. And so we have to meet with the resistance of not getting what we want all the time. And just being able to go, well, that's part of my practice, otherwise it wouldn't be here, right? It just doesn't show up by accident. It becomes part of what you do. And so we have these wonderful books, The Placebo Effect, and we've got Tibetan book of the Living and Dying, and we've got Wayne Dyer's book. What's the name of that book?
I Can See Clearly Now.
I Can See Clearly Now. And they're all saying the same thing. You gotta go. Who you think you are has gotta go. This sense of separate self is delusional. And it has a beginning and a middle and an end. Who you really are does not. And sometimes a good kick in the butt can do that for you. It can really get it for you. We said last week that Jojam Rinpoche had a woman come to him back in the 70s, and she was saying, I'm dying, I've got cancer, and I'm dying, and they've only given me 30 days to live. And he said, oh, my darling, everyone's dying, just at a different time. Okay? Everyone has a different moment when they leave their body. But I can give you some practices to help you while you're in that state. And so he gave her a bunch of practices, which of course she practiced. Because when you have no other option, you get the universe's attention. When you have no other option, you get the universe's attention because you're really there for it. It gets your attention. And so there she is, doing the practices with absolute resolve. Yet doing it that way produces results. And she was healed of her cancer. It was gone. Hundreds and thousands of cases of people have examples of that in their life today, where because of what happened, their spiritual focus got very clear and very, very precise. They were now vigilant for God and her kingdom because that was what they were brought into in that moment. And that's what things like this can do for us. They can bring us back to the moment so we can be very focused in our practice. And we all get examples of this when that will come into our life one way or another. If it's not there now for you, it will be. And if it's not there now for you, you probably know someone who it's there for. So you can be there for them. Because there's only one thing that can bring us existence, consciousness, and bliss. And again, it isn't what we're doing, it's what we're being, and it's who we are, and it's what we come from. The book that I have sort of now switched into just for a moment, and how many here actually are read, or reading, or have read The Placebo Effect? I can't find my glasses. Where are my glasses? Someone needs to give me a pair of at least 1.50 reading glasses. I need them right now because mine are in the other room. I left them sitting in the other room. What's your number?
1.75.
You are good, girl. You are. This is a man named Joe Dispenza. And for those of you who don't know the book, it's 23 years old. And he was relatively new to his chiropractic training. And he'd been training for a triathlon for months. He had just finished the swimming segment. And when he was in the biking portion, when it happened, I was coming up to a tricky turn when I knew I'd be merging with traffic. A police officer, with his back to oncoming cars, waved me on right in front of me in the course. And of course, I was fully exerting myself, and I didn't take his eyes off of him. I didn't think I had to. As I passed two cyclists on that particular corner, a red four-wheel drive Bronco going about 15 miles an hour, slammed into my bike from behind. And the next thing I knew, I was being catapulted into the air. I landed squarely on my backside, and because of the speed of the vehicle and the slow reflexes of the elderly woman driving the Bronco, the SUV kept coming towards me. And I was soon reunited with the bumper. I quickly grabbed onto the bumper in order to keep from being run over and being passed over by the metal and asphalt. So I was dragged down the road a bit before the driver realized what was happening. And of course, people were screaming and yelling and cursing, and bikes were whizzing by. All I knew is I was lying there, and all I could do was surrender. I would soon discover that I had broken 6 vertebrae. I had compressed fractures in thoracic 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and vertebrae ranging from shoulder blades to kidneys. The vertebrae are stacked up in individual blocks in the spine. And when I hit the ground with that kind of force, they collapsed and depressed or compressed from the impact. The thoracic vertebrae, the top segment, broke, and 60% of it collapsed in a chronic arch that continues to correct, or should I say, hold the spinal column together, was stuck like in a pretzel. And when the vertebrae compresses and fractures, the bone has nowhere to go. And in my case, a volume of it shattered and went back into my spinal cord. You might say, it was definitely not a good picture from my body. And interestingly enough, after much pain and CAT scans and MRIs and visits to the hospital and orthopedic surgeons, they showed me the results of the sobbingly bad news. In order to contain the fragments that were now in my spinal cord, I would need to implant what's called a Harrington rod. That would mean cutting out the back parts of my vertebrae, 2 square sections, 12 inches, it goes on, and putting them back together again. What this would promise me is a life full of pain, possibly able to walk. But the truth was, my life would not return to where it was before. Paralysis was certain if I didn't take this course of action. In fact, I was told that no one who'd ever had this kind of serious injury had ever in the whole, well, he knew at that point, world, had ever refused to have this procedure. And so he listened to what the medical model had to say. He listened very carefully what they had to say. And he decided on a different option. He decided on a different, did you hear what I just said? He decided on a different path for himself. And I want you to know there probably were a lot of members of his family that were not really too happy with his decision, don't you think? Can't you just hear Mama and Papa, 23-year-old, beautiful, healthy young man being told, well, the one thing that I can really do, I'm not going to do it, I'm doing something else. You bunch of radical, crazy people in this room who make choices like that. I'm not telling you that this is your radical thing to do. I'm telling you that everyone has an internal guidance system that they listen to. I'm sure she'll be talking about this, Pam Grau. And you listen to what it tells you. And then you do what it tells you to do or not to do. He refused the medical model. And I know he did not meet with a lot of people who felt that he was making the right decision. But when you're in touch with your own internal, eternal guidance system, you do that sometimes. You make your own decisions about what you want for yourself. You decide what your internal system is saying to you, and then you react from it. Because there are no guarantees here anyway. He might have taken the other choice, and maybe everything would have worked out great too. What do I know what anyone chooses? There are people who choose to have and do chemotherapy and have great results with chemo, have great results with radiation. I'm not telling anybody what to do. You've got to do what's right for you and listen to your own internal guidance system and tell you what to do. So that's exactly what he did in his situation. He made a radical departure, and he got a couple of crazy friends that would help him do that. You need a couple of crazy friends, don't you, to help you do it. And they said, come to our house, and you can do whatever you want to do. We're not going to judge you. And for the next couple of months, he basically lied down on, found himself in a position where he couldn't move. And he literally just spent the next 2 months, 2 hours a day, talking to every cell and atom of his being, not unlike someone we know in our movement, Merton Fillmore. I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit disease. And he worked with every atom and cell of his being. He didn't use a whole lot of the God term stuff that we use, but he worked with the principle. He says the physical body is capable of miracles. He said right now in this moment, millions and trillions of cells are dying and new ones are being born. Right now, you're breathing on your own. Right now, cells are dying and new cells are being regenerated. Right now, your body is reproducing stem cells based upon past programming. If we get clear of our past programming, there might be a way for us to even create new stem cells. This does not end when you're 2 years old. It continues to go on right now, and it's happening now. All the time, it's happening. And you know what? It's just, right, Joan? It's a fun game to play around in. Why not? You're going to be here anyway. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with the time that you have left? So you make a choice. You make choices. And everyone makes their own. And no one can speak to anyone else. I didn't know that we would make this choice. When we got the diagnosis of what was going on, I wasn't a pretty picture about 3 months ago. We went right away for what would be our option, not even knowing that, in fact, we would even choose that option. Because you don't know right up until the rubber hits the road. And ours was, call hospice. I don't want to go into a hospital and get the medical model for $65,000 a day in a hospital. What we chose to do for ourselves was take a different course. First, we studied all of our options for the kind of cancer that I had. Please hear me now. We didn't just go, let's just do this because it's more new agey. We looked at what the options were. And the truth was they weren't great. Our chances were not terrific. So let's try something else, right? Let's do something different for us, for our mind field, for what would work for us. So we got signed up really right away. And it scared a lot of our family, like, what are you doing, my Lord? But actually the way I looked, it was a little bit like, probably a good idea. At that point, I didn't look like existence, consciousness, and peace. I looked like the other tape, but I won't say what those words are, because they're nasty and they're not good for church. I didn't look all that great. And so we did that. We made a choice. And you know what they do? You want the rubber to hit the road on your spiritual life? Have them put this on your fridge. It's called a big stop sign, and it says, DNR. Do not resuscitate. That's talking about me. Do not resuscitate me. Has a beginning date, no end. So does your funeral marker. It's got a beginning, but the date's open at the end. I'm not trying to make you scared, but the truth is, it's all existence, consciousness, and bliss, and we don't know what it's going to be. So I get to look at that when my focus is off. DNR. What does that mean? That means that hospice, this great organization, they don't want you to die. They're not hanging out going, well, you're in hospice, this must be the end of you. People go in and out of hospice all the time. The happiest thing for a hospice group of people is let you go. Let you go, be free. Go back, do what you want to do. Stay as long as you want. But here's a different option. Do you know that your life is filled with options? That's the point of what I'm saying. Nothing is a dead end. Your life is filled with all kinds of options. You have so many choices you can make. And aren't you glad we live in a time that we can make those kind of choices? So you make those kinds of choices for yourself. You choose how you want to live your life. And a lot of it has to do with how you choose to want to end at least your physical life, because the truth is, nothing ends here. It doesn't end. The suffering is on this side. Once you're not on this side, there's nothing missing. Everything's here. So what would you be missing? I miss my wife, and I miss my house, and I miss my exercise, and I miss my... You are exercise. You are all of these things. Everything you like is already still here. When you flip into that kind of awareness, then everything's already present, and you're not missing anything or anyone. It's only on this side. This is the plane of suffering. The Buddha said, This is the plane of suffering, and there is a way out. And guess what? I am the way, that truth, and that life. You are that way, that truth, and that light. That's what you are. That's what you bring to each moment's consciousness, existence, and bliss. So he spent this time going over every single vertebrae in his back. And literally, in his story, the story I like, I like his story, he walked out of that experience with no body bag, no DNR, because he took his DNR to a higher power and authority, and he's still with us now, teaching hundreds of people ancient spiritual truths that we have all known for years. And the truth is, it doesn't matter when the manifestation happens for the body. And I really want to make this clear, because I'm sitting here rattling all this off to you. And everybody's going, right, he must be doing better. He gets up, he sits down, he gets up, he sits down. The miracle's happening. Go to unity. The truth is, I don't know what's happening. I don't have a clue about what's going on. I couldn't even begin to tell you what's going on. All I know is that here I am doing what it is that God would have me do today. That's all. So point number 2 is very important for all of us as we deal with this collective thing together. Waking up is an ongoing process and is not limited to the lifespan of any one lifetime. Say amen. Amen. Waking up is an ongoing process. And if it's limited to just one lifetime and one lifespan, we're going to be disappointed. Because it may not work out the way we thought it. How you doing, Richard? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Do you understand? You are okay. We are all okay. Just the way that we are. And I don't want to set any false hopes for anyone or for myself. If it's all about what you do in any one lifetime, that is part of every lifetime, then whatever you do now, you're doing forever. So if you're setting up your incarnation for the next life, well then you are creating stem cells, a new body, the whole bit, right here, right now, while you're in this body. Isn't that good news? Yes. You don't need to wait till you're nobody to be everybody who can awaken to who we truly are. Isn't that good news? So you practice and you do what you do because there's really nothing else to do. You do the best that you can. And you fumble and you fall and you stumble like we all do. So my example for this week was what happens when that doesn't always show up. So for me, it was rather really kind of innocently where it showed up. Somebody came up to me in line and said something to me. Don't you hate it when people talk to you? Somebody came up to me with words. Now the Bible says, by your words you shall be justified, by your words you shall be condemned. And very innocently they said something to me. They said, well, maybe you should have that checked out medically. You seem to be doing better, but maybe you need a nice good picture of what's really going on. And when they said what really going on, I went, oh, you might be right. Maybe I need some Gorilla Glue or duct tape or something. But maybe it's Gorilla Glue time. Gorilla Glue, maybe I should do that. What do you think? Gorilla Glue, great idea. And the moment I started thinking about those words, my energy went like this. And you know, the moment your energy gets depressed, you're following the wrong vibrational frequency. Always. For you. For you. Not for me, but for me. It was in that moment true. My energy lowered. And I sort of went, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't really feel all that great. And then you start complaining and confessing and things aren't going that well. And okay, so maybe I'll do that. So at the end of the Sunday, I went home and we were both sort of feeling low energy. I was feeling low energy about it. And I talked it over with Maureen, and how we work it out as a couple. We do a lot of talking through first before we make decisions, and we gather a lot of information. There's nothing wrong with information. Have all the information you can get, and then you make your decision based upon the information that you get. And the information that I got was, okay, well, I'm going to call, Jim up. He's my medical expert. Jim, he's a physician's assistant. I'll have him take a picture of it. I told him what I wanted to do. And then I said, so, what do you think this might be that's going on? And he gave me his explanation. And it wasn't all that great. So there we are again, another blow. You have to make your own decisions. So I got off the phone and decided Thursday we'll go and get the picture and see if maybe we need something. Because the world says, get proof.
Yeah.
Get proof. Then you'll know you're okay. and the truth says, prove unto me, thus saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not pour a blessing upon you, there will not be room in your consciousness to receive this. That's the other side. So I looked at that, we looked at that, didn't we? And we both went, no. And after I made the appointment on Thursday, 20 minutes later, I texted Jim, because he likes to text, not talk, and said, cancel the appointment, I'm going for the miracle. So what does the miracle mean? It's the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance, which no one can take away from you. It's the only thing you bring with you from him who is your source. That's my idea of what a miracle is. Does that mean I will be here next week going, I don't know. But the life stream of this moment says yes. And so you go for what the life stream tells you in this moment is your, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit disease. That's how we follow the way, the truth, and the light. So let's just take a look at and see what we might have talked about today. The one thing, only one thing made her happy, and now that it was gone, everything makes her happy. Because you're connected to the one thing that is happiness. Life can take a lot of things away from us, but never the source of our happiness, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Waking up is an ongoing process and is not limited to one lifespan of any one lifetime. So you've got plenty of time, but don't waste all the time. You know, the barn is burning down. Oh, but look at the view. 3, when you make a decision and feel disempowered, where did that come from? When you make a decision and feel disempowered, that's probably a good sign you're choosing the wrong option. So go for today, you in your own way. Go for your miracle. Go for the one that's right for you. Because it's the only thing you bring with you from him who is your source. It shines on you because it lights your way. It leads you back to where you came from. And where have you come from? But happiness, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Practice well and deeply, not just for yourself, but for the benefit of all beings everywhere. Namaste.